Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Team of the Decade video. In this one I'm going to be choosing my second rows and who I think were the best two second rows in this decade. I would also love to know what your thoughts are, so put yours down below. Who do you think have been the best two second rows in this decade? And to start off with, I'm just going to dive straight into it with the first choice, and I think there's been so many good second rows over this decade. It's been a very good decade for second rows. There's been plenty of world class second rows, and but I still think that the two I've picked are quite easy picks. I mean, there's some that come very close, but I feel like these two are quite solid and definitely the best two. The first one I'm saying is Brodie Retallick from New Zealand, and he's insane, isn't he? I think this one's quite a solid pick. I think this one's an obvious one. Just in that period, as when New Zealand were dominant from even up until around about now, because he's been around for pretty much the whole decade. Brodie Retallick, he has been outstanding. The line outs is where he has really excelled, keeping the ball, dominating the airways, and disrupting the other team's lineouts, as well as disrupting mauls as well, which come from lineouts. He's one of those brilliant second rows who's just fantastic in the air. He's brilliant in the lineout, and sometimes I wonder how do they play in that position. It's such a tough position to play in. But Brodie Retallick, he almost feels at home in that position, and he just runs riot, causes havoc for defences, and causes havoc with other teams' lineouts and mauls, etc. As well as the rucks, he causes havoc in rucks, slows it down. He's such a big, tall guy that he can just get over and never go onto his feet. I mean, of course, it will happen now and again, but most of the time he is there, jackling over, winning balls back if his life depended on it. He's just fantastic in most facets, which a second row needs to be fantastic in, and he was a key cog in New Zealand's success over recent years and past years earlier on in the decade as well. He's just a outstanding second row, and I think is an obvious choice for the first second row pick for me. For the second row, it's a bit harder. There's a load that you could pick from, a load. But I am going to go with a Welshman, and I think you all know who it's going to be now. It's their captain, Alan Wynne Jones, and Alan Wynne Jones, warhorse. That's all got to say about him. Absolute warhorse. He throws himself all over the pitch, throws himself into rucks, throws himself in the air. Just he would die, die for anything for Wales to win. He would literally die for it. I mean, he plays while he's injured, and that's just something. Yeah, Ospreys haven't had the success, his club haven't had the success that, of course, they would have hoped for, but for Wales, he has been truly outstanding, a real leader in that squad, and a real. He's just a brilliant player. There's not many more superlatives to say about him, to be honest. He just puts himself around the field. He's a bit like Brodie Retallick in the fact he dominates the air, he dominates rucks, he slows down the ball, but his ball carrying is immense, and his work rate is insane. I think it's his work rate which really tips me to put him in my second row pick, because his work rate is outstanding. He will somehow find pace out of nowhere to catch a winger on a clean break. He will do anything to stop the other team scoring a try, or throw his body all over the place. And that is what I love about Alan Wynne Jones. He's just got that work rate and that hardness and determination that you need to play rugby, and especially as a second row, he's just been absolutely outstanding. And I am picking Alan Wynne Jones as my second row in this team of the decade. As well as that, there's a couple players, of course, that are worth mentioning. You know, you've got Eben Etzebeth, who has been an ever-present in that South Africa squad. He's been immense. You've got Sam Whitelock for New Zealand, who has been as well insane. Mario Tojo, the past 4 or 5 years now, has really grown into a star player, and the next decade he will probably be one of the best second rows in the world in the next decade. You've got Lou de Jager for South Africa. There's so many names. James Ryan and Paul O'Connell as well. I didn't mention Paul O'Connell, the old Irish captain. He retired, of course, this decade. I feel like Alan Wynne-Jones and Brodie Retallick just beat him, but he was also immense. A bit like Alan Wynne-Jones in that hardness and that determination. He wanted everything for Ireland to win. He did everything for Ireland to win. But for me, I feel like Alan Wynne-Jones and Brodie Retallick just beat him to it, mainly because they played over the whole decade and shown themselves. But I've got to say, Paul O'Connell is was a brilliant player back in his day. So yeah, there's so many picks that I could have chosen from in terms of second rows, but I've gone with Brodie Retallick and Alan Wynne-Jones. Yeah, that leads on from the front row video I did earlier on for Team of the Decade. Go watch that video as well if you want. The link is down in the description below to find out who my front row were this decade. So yeah, this was my second row video. The next video will be the back row, so the flankers and the number 8s, and so on and so forth. So yeah, if you liked it, leave a like, please subscribe, put down in the comments below your second rows of this decade. I'll be happy to know who you think, and yeah, thanks for watching, I'll see you in a bit.